we were talking about the means of knowledge that we operate to know things in the world. What are the things that we use? The primary means of knowledge that we have is perception. Okay? So you use your five sense organs, they provide data, and that whatever the data they provide, it's sent to your mind, and then the mind makes sense of it, and then you respond. Right? So perception is the means of knowledge that we all have. Please switch off your mobile. The second means of knowledge that we have is inference. Okay, so not only we see things with our five sense organs, but many times we can actually infer more than what we can see. Okay, so there is a classic example in our tradition where you say that there is wherever you see smoke, what do you infer? Fire. Exactly. So the perception is that of a smoke, but what is your understanding? That of a fire. Right? So this is what we call one-step inference, and that inference, how do you make? Why do you make this inference?
Because you have an association with smoke and fire, the association of the two.
Exactly. So that means in Sanskrit, what we say is there is invariable concomitance. The reason we make this inference is there is an invariable concomitance. So every time there is a fire, a smoke, there has to be a fire, right? So that's why if you have seen statistically 10 out of 10 times, every time there is smoke, there is fire, then 11th time you don't need to see the fire. What do?
This is
automatically you will use this knowledge, right? So a lot of our knowledge takes place through inference. Sometimes our inference goes wrong. Okay? Why does it go wrong? It goes wrong because there is no invariable concomitance. Okay? What does it mean? So, it means that you see the tears in somebody's eyes, and what do you infer?
Sadness.
Sadness, right? But is it true that every time
It's not necessary that it's sadness.
Exactly. So this is why statistically, there are variations. So most of the time there are tears when you are sad. But there are variations. What are the variations? You are cutting onion and you
can have tears of joy also.
Exactly, you can have tears out of joy. So that means when there is no 100% concomitance and you infer, then your inference goes wrong. Okay? But if there is 100% concomitance, then it doesn't go wrong. Okay? So this is why this anumana has to be a tight anumana. Otherwise we make so many inferences, right? This person did not smile at me, so therefore that person doesn't like me. Is this invariable concomitance there? No. Right? So we build on stories and we infer things which are not based on realities, and this is how we make a mistake. So anumana is a very important pramana we have with us, but we use it very loosely. This is a problem. We use it loosely and then we get into trouble. We don't make sure that there is an invariable concomitance. Okay? And this is why science comes very far away, because they try not to use it loosely. Right? So therefore, the third means of knowledge we have is arthapatti. Arthapatti is it's a two-step inference. Okay? So the first step inference is when there is smoke, there is fire. But does our inference end at only one step? Any discovery that you make with reference to, for example, how old is the universe? Do you use one-step inference? No. You use data and you use lots and lots and lots of calculations with lots and lots of connections in order to arrive at the approximate age of the universe. Okay? So that means a human being is able to make inference within inference. And that's why every logic has to be very tight. Because you make a false assumption in one thing, you make a fault one place, and then you build on that logic, what will happen? The whole thing,
The whole line is faulty.
the whole line is faulty.
One good example maybe Meera can give, medical diagnosis is built on that, several step inferences.
Yeah.
So can you give one example, for example? Somebody has an infection, how do you arrive to that? And that kind of infection.
So let's say, well, anything, any diagnosis, you have a respiratory distress in a baby, and I'm take care of babies, so I'm going to give that example. And you've taken a wrong history. You know, you've just asked the mother, okay, the baby is born and has fever, okay? Has fever and not eating. But you have not asked further questions. You've just inferred fever and not eating, and that is you're going with that. But you didn't ask, does the baby have diarrhea? Does the baby have vomiting? Does he have cough? Does he have, because just with that, you're going to go, okay, fever with vomiting may be a bug. But you didn't ask whether the baby is lethargic, he could have meningitis. So you're giving, you'll say, oh, it's just a viral infection. So you just give electrolyte solution, no antibiotics, nothing. But the baby could actually have meningitis. Now, by physical examination, you're thinking only gastritis. You don't even touch the head. So you have totally, with just that two things, you miss the whole diagnosis, and that's, your baby's gone right there and then, because you haven't given the right diagnosis.
Right? So there are several variables involved, and if you don't focus on all those different variables and just on a few, then you can go very wrong with your influences, right? So that's why human mind is a very amazing mind. You know, you can do all this, and I mean, just as you can miss, you can also do it, and that's what makes you a good doctor, right? You take into account as many variables and see all the connections, and then you come up with the right treatment, right? So this is what we call arthapatti. That whole process of taking many different connections and many different variables and making that multiple step inference is called arthapatti. Okay. Then you have another means of knowledge, which is what we call upamana. Upamana is, let's say that I want to give you knowledge of a fruit called durian. Okay, durian is a fruit which is very, very popular fruit in entire Southeast Asia. I mean, Thais and Malaysians, and they all just love this fruit. Okay, now if I were to give you this knowledge of durian, how would I start? What would I tell you? I want to give you knowledge.
You describe it, the color.
So how would I? Exactly. So I will describe the color,
size,
The size,
shape,
the
size, color,
taste,
taste, smell.
Exactly. Okay, excellent. So that means I'll try to, the easiest way is for me to work with the reference that you have. Right? So I'll tell you, okay, it's something like jackfruit. Right? But it's smoother than jackfruit. It smells a little bit more than jackfruit, you know. So this is how I will use what we call
Association.
So I use an example, right, an analogy. So where I use one thing, right, I use jackfruit, but what do I want to convey? Durian. but there is some similarity between jackfruit and durian. So I take you from here to there. So this is what we call anumana. This is a very, very important pramana. We are very practical. Human mind is very practical, and we actually describe many things like that. Okay. So this is anumana is another upamana. Upamana is another means of knowledge that we have, and the another one is a very interesting pramana. It is what we call anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi means something quite interesting. If I ask you, is there flower in my hand? What will you say?
No, but your hand looks like a flower.
Okay, but is there rose in my hand? No. You say no. So do you, what is your perception? Is your perception that of non-existent rose? No. What do you see? Hand. You see hand. But what do you answer? There is no rose. So it is not perception. Please understand. The perception is what? That of a hand. But the knowledge it gives you is what? There is no rose. Right? So this is what we call anupalabdhi. Anupalabdhi, even absence, we don't see the absence. There is no perception of an absence. There is only perception of presence. Excellent. Right? There is perception of presence, and if in that presence the other thing is absent, it gives you knowledge of the absence. So this is what we call anupalabdhi. So the entire shastra that we have, the entire transaction that we do is based on these pramanas. Perception, inference, arthapatti, anupalabdhi, upamana, and these are the 5 pramanas we use to transact in the world. Now, what this Bhasyam is saying is, even it's not human beings have these 5 pramanas which are very sophisticated. What distinguishes human beings from other living beings?
The brain.
So that means they also, what it says is, animals also have basic perception, right? They see the world, right? And they also have inference. They have some basic inference, and there is the example which is given is a cow. You go to a cow with a grass and smiling at the cow, what will the cow do?
Come towards you.
Come towards you, right? And if you go with a stick and raised stick, what will the cow do? Run away from you, right? So that means what? The cow's perception is what?
Danger. Pins.
That perception is only a raised hand. Please understand, a stick and a raised hand. What is the inference?
Of being bitten.
I'm going to be hurt. This is an inference. Please understand. Please make a difference, understand the difference between perception and inference. The cow sees only what? A raised hand. That is the perception. The inference is, I'm in danger, I'm going to be hurt. And it flees. So that means every living being is endowed with this means of knowledge. Okay? And everybody operates with this means of knowledge. But in all these operations of means of knowledge, the original mix-up, does it get solved or not? No. So therefore, you can go on and on and on, and you can, what? Continue to transact with the world, not even suspecting that there is a mistake that I have to undo. The animals, the human beings, they all continue. But what is the difference between an animal and a human being?
Choice.
The animal, even though there is a basic inference, the buddhi is not developed enough to undo this whole mix-up. That buddhi, the intellect. The intellect, there is an intellect. They have intelligence, right? But it's not enough to think about that mix-up and undo that mix-up and engage in the world in a very advanced way. Arthapatti also is not so advanced, right? This cow doesn't think about how old is the universe. They don't go to school and try to find out how this whole animal, how this whole universe works. They don't do that. Okay? So human being is capable of looking into the universe a lot more and engaging a lot more, but also along with that recognize that there is a mix-up and also undo that. So that means human birth is a very special birth. Okay? And therefore, if you have not utilized this buddhi that is given to you, if you have just operated from some basic perception and inference, we say, no, this existence is more like animal-like. What does it mean? It's mostly driven by instincts, right? Food, then pleasure, progeny. This is what we call animal-like existence, where actually a human brain can do a lot more, right? So now it says, even Vaidika Vyavahara, as I told you, the first portion of the Veda, according to this Bhasyam, is also within this mix-up alone. What is this mix-up? What do Vedas give you? Vedas give you interesting things, right? The first portion of the Veda gives you different things. The first thing it gives you, it's in my notes, and I will, somebody will read the notes, right? It gives you known means for unknown ends. What does it mean? It means that known means is speaking the truth. Speaking the truth will lead you to heaven. Heaven is known to you or not? No. So what Vedas do is, known means speaking the truth, and it connects it to what? Unknown end. After this life, you will go to a place where it will be what? Pleasure, or it will be conducive for you. Right? That's not the only thing. It gives you unknown means for known ends. You want a promotion, and you know what are the known means that you have?
Study or work hard.
Exactly. You study, you work hard, you acquire the skills, you make sure that you have good relationships with people around you. These are your known means. These are all you have to do. If you want a promotion, you can't just say, I'm going to sit and pray. Right? You have to do all these known means, but in spite of doing all this, there is no guarantee that the promotion is going to come. So therefore, for the known ends, you want a known end, which is a promotion, but there are unknown means to you, because you only know study, working hard, acquiring skills, right? Networking enough in the right place. These are all your known means. But there are some obstacles that you have no idea how to overcome. So it gives you specific prayers and rituals to what? Overcome those obstacles. Right? So you add one more variable which will improve. There is no guarantee. Please understand, by adding that prayer or a ritual, there is no guarantee that you will get it. It is just what? Operating as one of the variables. It improves your chances of getting it. It increases the probability. Right? Because there are many variables working, now you have created one more variable in your favor, and it interacts with other variable and it gives you the result. Right? So therefore, Vedas give you for known ends, unknown means. Right? Then it gives you unknown means for unknown ends. What are the unknown means? Unknown means is this ritual will get you heaven. You don't know both. Right? So therefore, it gives you all this amazing information, the first portion of the Veda. Okay? So therefore, but all this happens within what? Avidya alone. This is amazing. Avidya means the mix-up remains intact. Now, think about Vedanta. When you come to Vedanta Shastra, do you come with the mix-up or you don't come with the mix-up? You come with the mix-up. So that means even when Vedanta is operating, the mix-up is very much there, but as a result of Vedanta Shastra, what will happen? If you understand what Vedanta says, what will happen? Exactly. You start unraveling it. So at the end, that mix-up will go. So all the pramanas, including Vedanta, operates within mix-up. All the other pramanas continue the mix-up. Vedanta, what? Unravels. Right? That's why you need Vedanta Shastra. Otherwise, somebody will ask, why do you need Vedanta? To know the nature of I. Right? So that is very important. What is the role that Vedanta has to play? Now, somebody can ask one more question and say, but why can't I know the true nature of myself using just perception and inference? Why do I need Vedanta?
Because there's so many
Because that is very limited.
You're still operating within them.
So, what we answered, and that is so true, right? That we are operating within a paradigm and we have no way to get out of that paradigm. Why do we have no way to get out of that paradigm? We have no way to get out of that paradigm because perception is about object. Your indriyas, your eyes can see an object. Do your eyes, are they capable of seeing the eye? They are not capable of seeing the eye. The eye, EYE, is not able to see
the capital I.
the capital I. Right? So therefore, the perception has no access to the nature of oneself. Right? And every inference is based on perception. Because I told you, inference is about invariable concomitance. You have seen what? Two things always go together. You've seen first and then based on that scene, you make the inference. Right? So neither your perception nor your inference can actually give you knowledge of nature of I. Because I is the only thing in this universe which is not available to you as an object but as what?
An awareness.
As subject, which observes everything else. So therefore, you need an independent means of knowledge. How does this independent means of knowledge work? How does Vedanta reveal your true nature to you?
Giving you knowledge.
Yeah, how?
Using your intellect.
That's where we add sixth pramana. The sixth pramana is Shabda pramana. Shabda pramana means I use the words. I use the words as unfolded by the Veda to make you see your true nature. So when I'm using the words, I'm not giving, some people say you're preaching. I said, I'm not a preacher. I don't preach. I am using words very deliberately as the whole teaching tradition is, right, to give you knowledge of your true nature. Make you see that the words become the mirror for you to see your true nature. They are very deliberately used with a highly sophisticated methodology. Sophisticated methodology to make you see what your true nature is here and now. Okay, so therefore you need that Shabda Pramana. Your normal means of knowledge are going to what? They are operating within that avidya, within that mix-up, and they will never be able to undo that mix-up. You need an independent means of knowledge which is going to make you see the nature of the knower and not an object of knowledge. Everything that you have within your capacity is what? About object of knowledge. The nature of the knower you have no access to through your normal means of knowledge. Therefore, you need Vedanta Shastra. Okay? So this is where, now, if anybody wants to read the notes of the fourth.
Shall we?
Yeah, please.
From all transactions?
Yeah.
All transactions of the world, empirical as well as Vedika, are within this adhyasa only.
Adhyasa, you know, no? That mix up. Okay.
Every transaction implies the object and subject distinction. One means of knowledge, one perception, two inference, three arthapati, four anupalabdhi, five upamana, six shabda. All these confirm subject-object divisions. The subject is taken to be a person who is endowed with body, mind, sense complex. That person engages in perception, etc. All living beings are the same. Every living being is endowed with some amount of perception, inference, capacity. You go to an animal with a raised stick and it runs. You go to a cow with grass and it comes near you. All animals also engage in the world with subject-object division, which is also based on avidya. Similarly, you show affection to a person, the person is drawn to you, and if you show meanness, person keeps away from you. This subject-object division is also based on avidya. Within avidya, all other means of knowledge operate. It is an irony because they are means of knowledge that give you so much knowledge, but they are within avidya and not capable of removing avidya. Shastra engagement can also be within avidya alone. The first part of Veda gives you different means for gaining ends. Known means for unknown ends, speaking the truth would lead to heaven. Unknown means for known ends, known end is promotion, unknown means is ritual or prayer. Unknown means for unknown ends, rituals for heaven. All these different means you gain through Veda is within avidya alone because they keep subject-object distinction intact. Even in Vedanta Shastra, the fact that you engage in the inquiry as an individual and undertake the pursuit and make efforts towards growth, this is all within duality. Only difference is that Vedanta Shastra culminates in your swallowing the difference between subject-object and leading to oneness. Every other pramana engagement keeps it intact.
Is it clear now? Did you understand the meaning? Yes.
The last sentence.
Yeah, and see, unknown means for unknown ends, ritual for heaven.
Yeah.
So the ritual is, see, you do XYZ ritual to reach heaven. So it is told. So it is known.
Yeah, so that means you need, without Vedas, you will not be known. So that means it will give you, you don't know the connection. First of all, you don't even know how to conduct a ritual.
Yeah.
Then you don't also know that there is a place called heaven. So it will give you knowledge of both. Yes, that you do this ritual in this manner and it will lead you to this place. Yes.
What is the meaning of Vaidika?
Vaidika is that which is belonging to Veda.
Vedic
Right.
in English.
Could you put English word for arthapati and anupalati?
Retention is for arthapati.
Sorry?
Retention is for arthapati.
No, no.
No. Arthapati is certainly not pretense. It is, Arthapati is two-step inference.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Arthapati is two-step inference.
Okay.
Or more.
Many steps.
Multiple steps, exactly, two or more. Yeah, more than, exactly, more than two.
Next one.
Anupalabdhi is the absence. The absence is a pramana. In the
Knowledge
sense
of
that-
absence.
Knowledge of absence.
Knowledge of absence.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Apalabdhi is presence.
Knowledge of that.
And
Apalabdhi is
Anupalabdhi is the absence
of
of,
the presence.
yeah, absence
What
of
is the
absence.
balance?
Because as I told you, you only, as Dilega rightly says, the eyes are only capable of presence, seeing presence. So perception is that of presence and the knowledge is that of absence.
But Neema, when you gave us the example of the rose and the hand, that was the upamana.
No, that was
That was the
Anupalabdhi.
Anupalabdhi. So what was the example of the upamana?
Upamana was the simile
Jackfruit.
I gave between jackfruit and
And durian.
Okay.
Jura.
What would
Okay.
be the term, like how do we,
Simile.
like a one word?
Analogy.
analogies.
What would be the word? Analogy.
Analogy or simile.
Or comparability.
Yeah.
Comparison also.
Comparison, see, I'm not comparing jackfruit with durian. What I'm doing is giving you knowledge of durian through using something which is similar.
Association.
Right?
Association of.
Not really association.
Using jackfruit to understand durian.
Excellent, exactly. I'm using jackfruit to make you understand durian. So that means I'm giving a simile, right? It's a kind of an analogy, I don't know. Yes?
And the English word for pramana
Pramana is means of knowledge.
means knowledge.
Is it clear? Okay. Now, what is, we will read the next. Shastriye to vyavahare yadyapi buddha purvikari na aviditva atmanaha paraloka sambandhim adhikriyate tathapi Vedanta Vedyam Ashanaya Atita Brahma Kshatra Bheda Sansarya Atma Tattvam Adhikare Prekshate Anupayogat Adhikara Virodhacha Prakcha Tatha Bhutatma Vijnana Pravartamanam Shastra Vidya Vat Vishayatvam Na Ativartate तथा ही ब्राह्मणः यजेत इत्यादीनि शास्त्राणि आत्मनि वर्णाश्रमयोः अवस्थादि विशेष अध्यासम् आश्रित्य प्रवर्तते. What is interesting is, even when Shastras talk about a certain varna and ashrama, okay, a human being, according to one's own natural inclination. So every human being has 4 stages of life. One is what? Brahmacharya. As you are born, then what? You are born into this world and you gain knowledge. Right? Everybody goes to school, they gain knowledge. That is what we call ashrama. Student stage. Right? That is, in Sanskrit we call it Brahmacharya. Now, Vedas also talk about at this stage of life, what are your duties? Okay? Then you enter into another stage of life, and that is Grahastha. Grahastha means that you then get married, and then you begin to have family. So now the same person has entered another stage of life, and the duties change. Right? It's not like we don't even think about it, but through our life we have to play a very different role, and in that our whole lifestyle changes. Right? Because the duties that we have to perform, they undergo a change. So therefore, Vedas also say, as Grahastha, what are your duties? Okay? Then, after living, then what is your primary duty? To look after the spouse, then the kids and all. Once the kids grow up, then there is another stage of life altogether. If you want to continue to try to control everyone, then what? You are not actually performing your duty because you have to graduate to a new state. And graduate to a new stage, which is what we call Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha is that whole process of saying, now I've done my duties, now give them that independence, take a backstage. That takes a lot of maturity. Right? When to engage and when to withdraw is a big, very, very important. It's all free will. When you have to withdraw, you continue to engage. When you have to engage, you withdraw. These are all confusion. Right? So therefore, with Vanaprastha comes what? Another set of duties and responsibilities. And then the final stage of life is all these life experiences hopefully make you recognize that actually what I'm really looking for is what? My true nature. And that is what? Sannyasa. So there is this another, the fourth stage of life where you can actually, Shastra allows you to formally give up everything else and saying I've performed everything, I've done everything. I have used all these experiences in life to learn and now I just want to pursue the knowledge. So that is what we call sannyasa. So with this, sannyasi cannot engage, they can't start to have relationships. So with every stage of life there are different roles and different duties and different responsibilities. Right? So this is where also what Veda is saying. Then there are, the whole society is organized by different kinds of people with different skills. Some people are naturally what? Highly intelligent. And what is, they naturally engage in what? Higher learning. Right? There are all these doctors, scientists, or even artists, people who excel in whatever they do. This is not only Vedika, please understand. It's all over the world. Right? You have people who are engaged in learning, and every society has it. Every society, that in Sanskrit we call them Brahmana. Okay. Every society also has Kshatriya. What is a Kshatriya? Kshatriya is a person who is a ruler, a king, a leader. Okay. So, and also people who are in the army, who are in the navy. So that means they are all protectors of what? The kingdom, of the nation, of the whole. They are leaders and also in the hierarchy. Okay? But they're engaged in protecting the country, the nation in many different ways. Okay? Now, the duty of a Brahmana is different from duty of a Kshatriya. You can't say that everybody is the same. Nobody is the same. People are engaged differently. If you are a Brahmana and if you are an intelligent person, what is your duty? What is your duty?
Religious texts.
Either you can think about something which is higher, right? Or you can become a teacher in whatever, and then that research and using that integrity in the research, not skewing things, not skewing the data. So that is all becomes your duty.
The priestly class.
Exactly. These are all also, because why they are priestly class is because they are with that intellect, they are engaging in what? Knowing certain truths about life which other people, imagine a soldier starts to think about, so that means each one, while playing that role, has to do that job very well and then also can graduate to thinking about higher things. Right? That anybody can do. But you still have to play that role. Okay? So Kshatriya are the people who protect the country and also lead the nation. Vaishya are who?
Traders.
Exactly. You need the people who are engaging in commerce, in economics. Because imagine if everybody is just protecting the nation and thinking about higher things, who will make all these goods provided, right? So therefore every society needs all these different kinds of people. And each one has to do what? Their duties and perform their own role.
So is that called Swadharma?
That is called Swadharma. Absolutely. This is called Swadharma. Because in the grand scheme of things, each one has to play their role. Because the whole society works, it needs all kinds of people. And everyone is born with a certain inclination. Okay? And then you also need what? The people who will actually what? Work. Which is what we call Vaishya and then Shudra. So it's not like a stamp on you. Please understand. This is a wrong understanding. Every society, show me one society which doesn't have this. Professors and people who are engaged in teaching, thinking about higher things, people who are rulers, people who are in the army, in the navy, people who are in commerce, and people who are just, doing the administration to make the whole thing work. Every society has that. But what Vedas is saying is, instead of being just looking at the other person and thinking that I'm no good, what? Concentrate on your duties and responsibilities. Do it well. When you begin to do that, what happens? The time, it's all a preparation for you to, in this life itself, what? Come to this knowledge. You stay where you are and do it well, instead of being dissatisfied with what you're doing. And that becomes the process of your growth. Okay? And when you begin to grow as a human being, this whole thing of, when the mind is not cluttered with confusion, cluttered with low self-esteem, cluttered with all the burdens, it will naturally, what? Go towards certain higher inquiry. So therefore, that's a preparation. So that means every varna and ashrama, there are what? Duties and responsibilities. Imagine if we really live our life like that, what the society would be.
Peaceful.
Peaceful. Really. Now, this is where Swamiji said, there is one society, many other societies are right-based. Right-based means it's all entitlement. This should come to me, this is my entitlement, the universe should work towards what? My well-being. This is right-based society. But Vedic society is duty-based society. Duty means, what is my duty? What should I do? And how can I do it the best that I can? When everybody becomes duty-based, others' rights automatically get ensured. If I am doing my duty as a parent well, the right of a child to have a good parent gets automatically ensured. If I am doing my duty as a child well, the right of a parent gets automatically ensured. So that means, if everybody, rather than being demanding from others and wanting having that sense of entitlement, focuses on what I need to do, the whole society works in a very different manner. Okay? So that means, by doing the right thing, as Aparna says, it is Swadharma, that Swadharma makes you grow. And that growth is very necessary to take you to what? That even recognize that there is a mix-up and then to attempt to undo it. That growth is required. And the whole Veda provides you with that infrastructure within which you can grow. and it's not disturbing it. It's not saying, oh, but this is all within avidya. You can't remove people from avidya automatically just like that. You need to provide that infrastructure within which people grow so that they naturally graduate to the next stage. Okay, so this is what this particular para says. So then, somebody wants to read this? Aparna?
You want to read
Which
it?
one?
It is
When
very small
my
para.
wife, children, etc. That
No,
one.
this type of engagement.
This type of engagement.
This type of engagement in the world, keeping subject-object distinction intact and using all brahmanas within this mistake, is continuing for every living being for time immemorial. The subject imputes doership and enjoyship on oneself. Even Shastra address a person keeping this mistake intact by saying, Brahmana should perform this ritual.
Right? So all these enjoyments, all these roles and responsibilities is all within that avidya alone. Okay. Now he moves on to this so-called mistake. He now focuses on what exactly. We've been talking about mistake. What is this mistake? Okay. So now the next para talks about the nature of mistake. Adhyasaha nama atasmin tat buddhihi iti avochama. Yat yatha putra bharyadishu vikaleshu sakaleshu va aham eva vikalaha sakalaha va iti bahya dharmanam atmani adhyasyati. Tatha deha dharman sthulo aham krusho aham gauro aham tishtami gacchami lankayami cha iti. Tatha indriya dharman mukaha kanaha klipaha badhiraha andhaha aham iti. Tatha antahkarana dharman kama sankalpa vichikitsa adhyavasayadi. Evam aham pratyayam enam shesha swaprachara sakshini pratyak atmani adhyasya tamcha pratyak atmanam sarva sakshinam tat viparyena antahkarnani adhyasyanti. Okay, so now he is talking about in detail what is this original mix-up that we are talking about, which all these pramanas don't undo, but Vedanta Shastra undoes. Okay? So here he says that the first mistake that we make is I am the body. Okay? Because all these pramanas are operating within what? I am this individual. Now, the original mix-up is I am the body. Why is the body not you? First of all, why do we think we are the body?
Because we don't, we are not able to see that eye, right?
Exactly. First of all, as Aparna says, you are not able to see the eye. Right? It's not available as an object.
See this.
And you are able to see this, and there is a special connection. Right? You don't have connection with all other bodies, but I have connection with only one particular body, and I know intimately what is going on with that body. So that pain of the body, when you have pain, I can only empathize, but when I have pain, what? I have pain, right? So therefore, you come to this universe connected to one given body. And you don't see the I, and you have that connection. So what is the natural conclusion we have?
That I am the body.
That I am the body. Right? Now, Vedanta has to tell you, you are not the body. So how will it tell you you're not the body? Can you just say, okay, now I'm telling you you're not the body, so you have to accept and you have to believe in me that I'm not the body? No. There has to be reasoning to make you see how you're not the body. right? So therefore, we have methodologies to make you see that. Okay? So there are prakriyas. These methodologies are called prakriyas. There are many different prakriyas which are used in different Upanishads. Okay? But one of the easiest prakriya is what we call subject and object prakriya. The subject and object prakriya is something that you objectify is an object, right? So therefore, just as you objectify all the other bodies, this body is an object, it is an object, right? You come to know all its different conditions. You come to know from the time that this body is born till now, how many changes have taken place? How many countless changes have taken place? Are you perceiving those changes or not?
To some extent.
To a certain extent, right? I mean, if you pay attention, you will certainly. So if nothing, then by the time 42, right? So all your organs are all beginning to, your digestive system, you begin to see everything starts, it takes its own, So therefore, even if you don't want to pay attention to, it all just presents itself, right? So therefore, the changing conditions of the body are known by you. So body, like every other body, is again an object of my awareness, and it is not the subject. But among all the different bodies, I do have a special relationship with one body, true. True. But because I have that special relationship, it is I is a mistake. Okay? Among all the different houses, I have one house with which I have a special relationship, true. But because I have a special relationship with that house, the house is I, is a problem. Right? So therefore, this body is an object of my awareness. Okay? Now, this body that I take myself to be, what is very important is actually begin to look at the body. Begin to see what this body is. Body is a name. Okay? If I ask you, what is his body? Tell me, what is his body?
Bones, organs,
Cells, heart cells, molecules.
So therefore, start simply. She's a doctor, so let's start. Okay, body is what? Hands, exactly. Yeah, wonderful. Hands.
Hands and legs.
Right. Is hand a body?
Part.
Wait. Hand is body? No. Hand itself you can't call a body. Right? The legs, are they body? No. Right? Now, the head, body? No. Then stomach, body? No. The back, body? No. So now, all the non-bodies come together to make a body. So now you're giving a name. So when you say it's part of the body, there has to be an entity called body, which then has to have these parts. But if I take out this part, show me the entity body. Without these parts, show me an entity called this body. There is no entity. It's only a name. When these parts come together, right? When hands come together, the legs come together, the stomach comes together, the back comes together, the head comes together, all of a sudden that assemblage gets a new name. What is that new name? Body. So therefore, there is no content in the body. When you say part of the body, it means that there is an entity called body which has all these parts. But actually, in reality, body is a name for what? All these different parts when they come together. Right? Now, each part, let us look. Hand. What is hand?
Muscles.
Muscle. Is muscle hand?
Is it instrument?
No.
Fingers. Instrument.
It's similar. Huh?
Can we do that instrument?
Yeah, but what is hand is, what the utilization is, can be used as an instrument to grab things and all and to eat and everything. But in terms of what this hand is, it is muscle.
Bones,
bones,
So,
skin.
1 second. So that means, is muscle hand?
No.
No. Is bone hand?
No.
No. Is skin hand? No. Right? Then there is water. Is water hand? No.
Veins,
Blood hand? No. Vein hand? No. So that means now this body is a name which is what putting different parts together with one part is hand. Now the hand itself is what?
Made up of so many other parts.
Exactly. It's not even exactly. Hand again is a name. Please understand, there is no entity called hand. When all these different parts come together, you have another name, which is what? Hand. There are names within names within names. Okay. Then you take any one part, bone.
Start the whole thing again.
Start the whole thing again. What is bone? Calcium.
Marrow.
Marrow. I'm so happy you're there as a doctor. I don't need to remember.
I've had it if I forget.
So therefore, now again, because the hand itself is what? A name for many different parts put together. Now that one part which is bone itself is what? Calcium, marrow, other parts. So here, what you think you are is all these names within names within names within names of many, many, many different things put together. Okay. Now if I ask you, is water I? No. Is blood I? No. Right? Is this a calcium I? No. Is the bone I? No. But when all of them come together, all these non-I's, which are the whole complex assemblage of things within things within things within things, and none of it is you, how this one body becomes you? All non-I put together, can it ever become I? Water is not you, blood is not you, but when water and blood are flowing here, it becomes what? I. Amazing mistake we make. And nobody even thinks about it. Okay, so therefore, this, I think that body is an entity, but actually what? It is?
It's a form.
It's forms within forms, within forms, within forms, within forms. And ultimately, as Surya was explaining in morning meditation, it is billions of cells, billions of cells.
Neema, to make it more understandable for me, if I use the example of a car, you would say the tires and the engine and the doors, but they are not a car, but they become a car.
Yes.
So there I am confused.
There is no confusion, it's correct.
Exactly.
It's the same. But we are here now, we don't take car as I, we take body as I. So that's why I need to do the analysis of this body and how it is not. Your I is not in the car, your I is in the body. Right? So is this body I or not? That is the question here. But you're right, the principle is the same, absolutely. So therefore,
in fact, just to say, the body is made up of billion cells, but the body has got 10 times the amount of bacteria and billion cells sitting on it. So again, that is part of the body. You've got 10 more times of non-body parts which are part of the body. So again, is that if you look at it, we are back. 10% of what we are. Even a body perspective.
Yeah,
90%
exactly.
is something else.
And there's something that has witnessed that change over the years.
So that means there is that presence which we miss completely. And we take this whole body, which itself is a non-entity, as I.
So what is I, the consciousness?
Yeah, but that we are still. First, we have to understand, Vedas have a methodology. Right? If I start telling you your consciousness, it will all go up. Because you feel that I am the body. So first it has to do a job of making you negating it. It's a methodology. It's a very sophisticated methodology to make you, because you feel it is this. So I have to show you how it is not this. Then I have to show you what it
actually is.
Exactly. Because if I don't do that job, there will be, you will still
The mix-up
continue
is still
to
there.
think this is body and imagine its consciousness and things like that, right? So that's why I say these are all highly evolved prakriyas. Prakriya means methodology to make you see certain things. That's why a teacher, when I'm teaching you, I'm not just using whatever comes to my mind. There is a methodology here. Inbuilt in this teaching is the methodology. To make you see what the Upanishads want to make you see.
But you're using the Shabda.
So I'm using the Shabda. I'm using the words very deliberately to make you see your true nature. And for doing that, I first need to make you see that there is a mix-up. And that mix-up is between what? The body and I. And I have to show you that how that body that you think to be yourself is not I. All this is it's like mathematics. It works in an extremely organized fashion to lead you to that discovery. Right? So therefore, this adhyasa, where is this mix-up? The first mix-up is at the level of the body. And now, using these words, exactly, Shabda, as Meera says, I have shown you how there is a mistake. And how you are, I've given you all the arguments to make you see that you are not the body. Right? Yes.
You can see this kinship and how long it needs if they say I, yeah, and not say the name. For example, when they were very young, they used to say, Jutta is doing this, and not I, and how much effort it costs for the parents to make them clear this I is you. Right? And this is now the way back.
Yeah, that's true. So that's true. But as I told you yesterday, that the very fact that a human being is born, it means that that ignorance is still there, and then it is going to manifest over a period of time. So you're right, the reinforcement of everybody else actually makes it worse, but that even if there was no interference, everybody would have, even like cow, nobody teaches them I or anything, but they have that sense of I. So that means any living being is operating within that avidya. That is what I just explained, right? That don't think that that avidya is just coming in this life. No. Life after life after life, we have operated within avidya. in a human birth you have a chance to undo it. But there is no guarantee that everybody will. Right? So therefore, this is a conclusion which is based on adhyasa. Okay? What is the second, where is my I in addition to this body?
In my relationships.
Me and mine. So
In mind. The second thing that Vedas talk about is your senses. Your sense. So when you make a statement, he uses this statement, Anto aham. I'm blind. I'm what? I'm deaf. I'm dumb. Where are you putting your eye? In your senses. Right? So therefore, the senses is another locus. I load my eye with what? The capacity of my senses. Now these senses are they object or are they subject?
Object.
They are object. Why are they object?
Can
actually perceive the existence of them.
Excellent. You perceive the existence of them, and over a period of time you can also perceive what? The changes in how they operate. Right? By the time you are 42, you have to what? We all start and then you know what, then you have to, by the time you are 6, 7, 80 years old, then you have to hearing aids, right? So that means it's not like you've come with one capacity. That is variable and it keeps changing over a period of time, and you perceive all these changes and you are not what you perceive, right? So therefore, the second mistake that we make is with this, my I is mixed up with the capacity of my senses. Okay? The senses deteriorate is maybe a fact. That when they deteriorate, I may want to go to a doctor to help myself, fact. But if I load it, please don't think that if I understand, this is the biggest problem people have when they listen to Vedanta. Oh, the senses are not I, so therefore should I not even look after them? Did I say that? It's like, oh, car is not I, so let me never clean it. What kind of logic is this? The house is not I, so let me never clean it. Body is not I, so let me not pay attention to it. Did I ever say that? This is your addition. This is how people don't understand Vedanta. Because what is said, you load that, but all I say is that there is a mistake. You are taking your body to be I. It's a mistake. And therefore, if the body is not I, therefore I should be indifferent to it, is what? Your addition. I never say that. This is how you load. You load with all your stories and you understand Vedanta in a very different manner than what is being talked about. You make your own stories even when you listen to Vedanta. This is why, as Sunya says, you need to be an objective person in your day-to-day living. Because the mind which is projecting will continue to project even when they listen to Vedanta. Okay? So therefore, that is that whole growth process of making yourself objective. You don't add your own stories to things. Okay? So the senses is not I. Okay? Now the third thing is the place where my sense of I is highly loaded is what?
The mind.
The mind. Huge. Right? How do you, nobody actually says that I am the mind. Nobody makes that statement. But what statements we make? I'm happy, I'm sad, And these are all what? All these emotions, where do they take place? In the mind. Right? So therefore, my whole I is equated to my mind. Okay? Now, what Upanishads say is, what is the relationship you have with the mind? What is mind?
The seat of emotions.
Yes, it is seat of emotion, but something more fundamental than that.
A bundle of thoughts.
Excellent. Mind is nothing but series of thoughts. Right? So now I have to know the relationship that I have with the thought. Okay. Am I the thought or am I aware of the thought?
Aware of it.
I'm aware of the thought. Right? Because a thought comes. How long does a thought last? Fraction of a second. And then the thought goes and a new thought arises. Between the two thoughts, what is there? Silence. There is no emptiness, there is silence. Right? There is silence. So therefore, there is thought, silence, thought, silence, thought, silence. How many thoughts in a day? Countless thoughts. Somebody, I think in some book has written about 60,000 thoughts in a day. Right? So now, what is your relationship with thought? Are you the thought or are you the observer of the thoughts?
Observer of
You
the
are the
thought.
observer of the thoughts. And what is the mistake? When the thought is that of a sadness, what do you say?
I am sad.
I'm sad. What actually you should say?
My thought is
I
sad.
have a sad thought.
My thought is sad.
Exactly. There is a rise of a sad thought, and who am I?
The observer.
I am the observer of the rising thought, which has as its content that emotion that Aparna was talking about. And here right now it happens to be sad. Right now. It can change very quickly. Right? Huge mistake. Because something which is a thought, I impute that thought as what the characteristic of a thought is a reality. Please understand that. The thought can be of sadness. Right? But I am sad is a conclusion. Where is that conclusion is coming from? That conclusion comes from the fact that there is no cognitive distance I have between a thought and the observer of thought. The observer is what? If it is always going to be, if it is, the thought is that of sadness, if the observer is going to be affected by that thought, then what? That sadness will always stick to this observer. Is it true?
Yes.
Yes? No. Not at all. The next minute, in your dream, the sadness and everything disappears. Observer is always free from what is observed. Like when I observe the table, do I take on the attributes of the table? Do I? No. The observer always remains free from whatever is observed. Okay? Thought, a sadness, thought, reality. True. I am sad is a mistake. That is the mix-up. The mix-up is, there is sadness. We are not denying that sadness. Please understand, this whole Vedanta where it's talking about eliminating sadness is a huge joke. The observer, this is why, is always free. You are not making Atma, which is sad, non-sad. What is Vedanta saying? Atma is always free from sadness. Always. It's never tainted. Like the crystal and the red. You are trying to brush the redness out of crystal, when crystal is always clear. But there is redness which belongs somewhere else. The locus is somewhere else. Where is the locus? In the cloth. Where is the mix-up? You take it to be belonging to the crystal. And then you are very busy cleaning the crystal. Right? So therefore, the variable thoughts come and go. These thoughts, which are variable, they are not just random thoughts. They can be put in 4 categories. What are those 4 categories? What is the time?
11:05.
So then we will stop the next class. Okay, 11:05, this is an accurate time. Okay. In the next class, we will see how these 60,000 thoughts in a day, how are they organized? Okay? Because they are organized very cleverly. And how they are organized, that we will see in the next class.
What time?
11:45 is the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate